Hey everybody! I want to welcome you to another Dog Pound Radio broadcast tonight. I have something a little bit special for you. We've coached against each other, for many years in multiple different facets, and you know what? I'm humbled to have Coach Ritchie on our show tonight. Coach, I want to congratulate you on what an amazing season, state championship run, and being elected Coach of the Year up that way, man. You deserve all the props.
Well, I appreciate it. I sure appreciate everybody that support us. Reached out during the championship game and after for sure.
Yeah, and I know that you were extremely busy. I think I might have sent a little message and wishing good luck. But man, I'm sure that you had thousands of those babies.
Yeah, I of course shut my phone off during the game and got on the bus afterwards, and I think I had 368 text messages to get back to. So I tried my best, but I probably didn't do a very good job.
Yeah, it's it just is what it is, when you look at those things. Now, but before we talk about this historic season, I do want to touch base on a couple of things. When did you start coaching, and what got you into coaching?
Uh, you know, uh, so actually I came back. I got an early start. After graduating, I went to Deep River Millersburg, which isn't even open yet, and are open now as a small school that's since been consolidated with either English Valleys or Montezuma. But I was one of the first. I was the first class in junior high that our school board let go share with English Valleys. So, ironically, if it wouldn't been for that move, who knows what would happen? Be different in my life. But anyway, went to left there. Went when I graduated there. Went and played at St. Ambrose for a year. Transferred to Iowa. Actually went back and helped my high school coach in 1989, 2 years after I graduated. So I got going pretty early, and then unfortunately, we coached one game with him, and we upset Sigourney one time, the first game of the year in '89. I think they were rated number one in the state, of course, at the time that Coach Howard had them going, and we upset them. And the following Monday, Coach passed away of a heart attack. So we had just a crazy way to start a starting coaching career for sure. I kind of had to step it up a little bit quicker than I would have expected, but ended up being my wedding week. So game got moved to Saturday, my wedding day. So that's where you got the Gazette article that said that I did go to a football game between the ceremony and reception of my wedding. But so that's when I started coaching, stayed there. We ended up hiring a guy named Tom Wilson, who's now the Dowling Catholic football coach. And that was my started my friendship with Tom. We both taught elementary school at English Valleys, and have been friends since then. And he was there for 3 years, and I took over for him. And I think just like all of us, probably they're in coaching, or I hope anyway. I think the big thing for me was there's a love for sports, obviously, and competition, but more importantly, just a lot of good coaches that impacted me along the way, and made a big difference in my life. So just wanted to get a chance to do that for someone else.
You and Tom are two probably that could be considered on the Mount Rushmore of coaches, and you coached in that little school in English Valleys.
Yeah, we were both elementary teachers, and I don't know if there was I don't know if there was a lot of people that thought we knew what we were doing then, and we probably didn't. But just like all people, I think that I heard something once about that. The passion was definitely there. The knowledge probably was not, but we definitely made up for it with passion and desire just to continue to get better. And I think we both have had an understanding all along about relationships with kids, and we have a lot of things together in our past as far as family history and being raised by real strong mothers and just being impacted by high school coaches.
Now, were both of you guys like a little bit old school there when you first started, or was you able to kind of become this coach or like players coach right away?
I probably got to be the player's coach right away. Tom was probably the bad guy. He was yeah, we definitely. I wish I had copies of the practice plan. We did make practice plans, which is impressive in itself. But we, I would guess that really what I remember from the whole thing was that we were tough and we were in shape because I don't think we knew what to teach. So we would just try to do something, we run, and then we do something, then we'd run, and we do something, then we'd run. So we're in really good shape, and I think that's where it started for us. But yeah, we were definitely connected since that day.
I love the stories about like the original weight rooms in these schools. What was the original weight room like at English Valleys?
We were probably pretty fortunate. The first one I remember as Coach Carson he was a big weight room guy. Played at UNI. Was just a real big, imposing guy that loved the weight room. And so we had a portable building. A lot of these schools will bring in, when they don't have enough space for classrooms, and it was converted into a weight room. So it was actually fairly good size, and just like everything else, we had the multi-purpose universal machine that you worked your way around, and then a few free weights, and it's typical weight room, not real clean, not real nice, but it was it served for a place to get to work.
I remember the first time they got the head machine. Do you
Oh
remember
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That was yeah. It saved having to do with the partner holding your head on the sides and so forth. But yeah, no, it's crazy. There's a lot of things. From video obviously to weight room, that's changed drastically over those 30 years.
Now, you and I had a conversation. I think it was on the sideline once, and I don't know whether you'll remember, but we were talking about how your wife, rarely misses any games. Like, and I think it might have been the game that you came down to Central Lee that year, and beat us. But I mean, how many games has she missed in your 30 years?
Is one of those deals, kind of like the story of my life. She never missed. She missed one when our youngest son Cade was born. He was born on a Friday, and she was real concerned. They went in and induced early in the morning, thinking that at least I could get to the game, and I did, which we lost in overtime at Point Bay, and I remember. And anyway, and besides that game, up until the last three, is kind of like everything else. All of a sudden, grandkids came. Obviously, they were I have three grandkids that we love dressed, tremendously, and they were they were running around the country following their dad playing, as he played in the NFL. So all of a sudden, going to Los Angeles and going to Seattle to help with the grandkids. There were a couple of times that last year, in the last couple of years, she missed a game or two to go help them, but they're back now and they're helping us. So we're all on the sideline together again. So everything's good.
Now, what was it like when Curt Ritchie goes into like 19 lane traffic? I'm being obnoxious, with that number, but I have driven down that Interstate 5 or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
what's it like, man? Because you're in a little bit bigger community than I am in Southeast Iowa, but man, when you go to LA, is this like holy crap?
Yeah, I know. A couple of things, I think, yeah, you had to be patient. And thank goodness the people out there I found for the most part were pretty patient with me as I was trying to find which lane and so forth I needed to be in. It was just, I just made me thankful that I wasn't part of that. And it's just amazing to me how, I remember one time we took our grandson to Disney in Los Angeles, and I think the drive there was like an hour and a half, and on the way back, just because of the timing and so forth in rush hour, is over 3 hours, 3.5 hours. We sat in the car for most of it, so it was an eye opener, and definitely, yeah, we don't. I'm trying to think how many. I don't know if we have a stoplight in Williamsburg, so to deal with that was not definitely not a comfort zone, but it was a great experience getting to see it, and something I would have never got to see otherwise, probably.
Do you like Seattle or LA better?
So um, I'm a lifelong Rams fan. So when Austin went to the Rams, obviously it was a dream come true for me. Was a great place for him. I think they love Thousand Oaks. They chance just to get away and grow together as a family and a couple. And but what I found is when we went to Seattle is more what I would consider I wear a lot of Seattle stuff now. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't say I'm completely, changed or converted over a Seahawks fan, but I just like you could drive around Los Angeles and not even know there's Rams were having a game. Seattle game day, it's everybody in Seattle. So I just liked how the community was all in, and obviously the 12s and so forth is a great atmosphere.
Now, and Pete Carroll, I mean, what is he? Is he going to be 74 this year and still acts like he's 15?
Yeah, I think that was probably the most eye-opening thing for Austin was just, obviously Coach McVay's an energy guy, and but man, he was just amazed by the energy that guy has at that age, and he was great to our family.
How big is that Super Bowl ring?
He doesn't have one. They lost.
Oh,
He was always a year late or early, I guess. So the Rams won it the year after he left. The Chiefs won it the year after he left. So
they should have sent him two.
yeah, but he did get a play in one. Obviously, the time that they lost in Atlanta to. So it was a great experience going to that.
Yeah, and let's talk about you gave me the tour of one of the best weight rooms that I've seen in the state of Iowa. Now, how blessed are you to utilize that weight room? And then question two is, what's your average? As far as participation in the summer when you're looking at athletes, and you can go 7 through 12, you can go 9 through 12, or however you want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So you just saw our new one this year, right, Chuck? When you
Yeah.
guys came up for that Monday night game. Yeah. So, yeah, it's an amazing facility. I think that it's one of those things that I wish I would have done a better job in 2001 when I came here of doing a video history of just how far, from the field and the facilities to the weight room to everything else, how things locker rooms, how everything has changed that way, for sure. But summer has always been big here. It's our kids do obviously a tremendous job. We try to be our boys and girls live together. We try to work at it all together as a community of coaches and staff and support each other. And all of us are in there working together with our strength coaches and try to be a part of it, involved not as much for me as I once was, but I mean, there's several summers, we've done a long time, and other than the COVID year, I'm sure we're a morning weight room team. So we only do it in the morning. In the summer, we start 5 groups. Our first group's at 5 a.m. We've tried to get them to go a little bit later just because I don't know if kids need to be getting up in the 4s. I know I don't. And so anyway, but we consistently run, 130 to 170 kids through there over the last, probably 10 summers. It's just kind of the way it's always been, and just blessed that way for sure.
Now, when you walked in 2001, what did the culture look like then? And then how were you able to establish this community culture that you built over the last over 20 years there?
Yeah, obviously, just being, 5, 6, 7, 8 miles down the road at English Valleys and competing against Williamsburg. I knew what it was. My wife was already a guidance counselor here. I was the head softball coach here at Williamsburg. And maybe starting in maybe as early as 93, 95, I know was our first state tournament. So I knew then what kind of community it was from the, a lot of these girls that I coached back on those teams are back here now, and I'm coaching their sons and seeing their daughters and so forth in class and school, and but that is, I always joke with them, that's the group that really sold me on this community and made me understand how special it was. So I knew when I came here what kind of support these people were willing to give, and how special a place it could be. So I knew we could just continue to get better. Believe it or not, and during that time, we would the English Valleys. I remember in Tom's last year in 1992, English Valleys 50-pointed Williamsburg at halftime, which is hard to believe and a long time ago. But Coach Wamachil had gotten things going a little bit. They'd made a state playoff the year before. I always felt that we could take it a little bit farther. They beat us 6-0 that year. I didn't ever feel like it should be quite that close, but our kids at English Valleys played tremendous and showed a lot of heart. So anyway, it was yeah, it's just just been a great place.
Now, when you took over the reins there, were you nervous? I mean, what did you do to establish your identity or who you were going to be year to year? Like right when you first started as your head coach.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like when you start in the classroom, right? You try to, I'm sure I wasn't the choice. I know that there was, a lot of the people in the community, even Austin's boy's dad will tell me, who's a good friend and been on my staff before, and now his family, that, he remembers saying, "We're hiring a guy from English Valleys. What is going on? It's the best we can do." So yeah, you're nervous. You only know one thing. You only know where you've been, and I know never been anywhere else, but I believed it was the best job in the state for me. I still believe that. I think it'd be the best job in the state for a lot of people. But anyway, yeah, I remember my main concern when I got here was just changing, how we do things. I think that I truly believe that first group I had here, May has been as talented as any of them. We didn't lose a game the first year. We're 9-0, one undefeated starting off. Lost the some reason that playoff time was messed up. We played Mount Vernon, and I don't remember if they were rated first and we were third, and somehow we played each other first round. Anyway, we lost. I can't remember. It's 12-0 maybe, or something like that, some weird score. But anyway, it was really just trying to. I remember we started with 60 some kids out, and we went to the first game with 40s, and it makes it sound like we're real jerks, but it really wasn't that. It was just that we were going to hold them a little bit more accountable than what they were used to. And like I said, I believe that if that first group would have known how to prepare and practice a little bit better, where we're at today, I think they're as talented as any group we've had.
Now, going in, getting your coaching staff, kind of getting your guys that are gonna, go to war for you each week. What do you look in, or what do you look for in a coach that's going to be a part of a Coach Ritchie philosophy?
Yeah, I believe we have one of the best staffs, and you've seen these guys. And we have, I have 12 guys in my staff, assistants that are, only 5 of them are paid. So the kids don't even know which ones are which. And I'm not sure I really do, tell you the truth. They could probably tell you, but no, I tell our guys, when I get anybody, I really just tell them the same thing. Look, I need you to do a couple things. I need you to, I need you to love the game. I need you to love kids. I need you to, more importantly, love Williamsburg football, and I need you to love Williamsburg Raider football players. And if you're willing to do that, then we can teach you the rest. If you're just willing to push yourself to get better and jump in on, what we want to be as far as trying to grow and get better each and every day and every year, every month, whatever you want to call it. But I'm fortunate. I have, right now, as it turns out, oh boy, I have, 3 coaches with me that were with me at English Valley. So that means they've been with me a long time. So I'm just, I just have not. We have some young guys. We got to bring in some young guys. Just you can't have all old crabby guys running around there. So you got to have some young guys to be goofy with them and that kind of thing. Bring some excitement, and fun. And but no, we're very fortunate. It's just a bunch of really good guys that they understand why they do it and who they do it for, and that's what we talk about.
And I look back at Coach Knott's staff. When we went on our playoff run there in Centerville, and had those good teams like back to back to back. It felt like, and all of us had been a part of his staff for 10 plus years. And I would almost put a bet on it, Coach, that 90% of these staffs that make the playoffs every, or like 9 out of 10 years, they've been on staff for 10 plus. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely, there's got to be some consistency to it and some common thing, and that's not, that's just not how it works this day and age sometimes. And it's I'm just thankful. I think it really worked out for us, because when I came here, I think I only held one person over from the old staff. It's not like I got to choose, but at the time it wasn't a great culture here. I was one of like 27 teachers hired that year, which we'll tell you a little bit about them. I mean, you just didn't have turnover like that, then, like they do now, I guess. But anyway, So I was able to bring in a lot of guys I knew, which helped. I kept one from the old staff, which was my defensive coordinator. His name is Larry Bethke, which ended up being the best move of my life because he had a son who, set the state rushing record 2 years later for us and played in the state championship game, Dustin Bethke. So I think he scored 50 some touchdowns or something as a senior. So anyway, that ended up being a good move, but it really, and then those, just getting off to, I don't even remember what, 9-1 and 12-1. So you got up to 21-2 start. And it's, thank goodness for just a bunch of really talented kids to get us off to a good start.
That's phenomenal. Now, when you look at non-negotiables for each season, okay, I'm sure pretty much every coach has that. But do you have negotiables?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you got to. I think the big thing for my guys is that, whether it be coaches or players, I am a very easy to get along with guy most of the time, but I'm a very trusting guy, and that's why I tell them I need to be able to trust you. I don't do a great job at um, telling my coaches, coaching staff, how much I appreciate them. I don't think I show it very well. I don't know why they hang around probably as much as they do. I do love them and like family, and they are definitely part of my family. And my other family, my non-football family, understands that. But anyway, that's a big thing. If I got to build trust you to do what's right and do what's right for always, and are you going to mess up? Sure, we're all going to mess up, and that's kind of what I do with. That's kind of the approach our kids are. I think they know that I'm going to be, I'm pretty loose. You're not going to come to, so we have some new coaches that come in and, like they can't stand our warm up period. And, how we do, it's not that they hate it. It's just, they think it could be better and more structured and all that. And it's player driven and player led and, on, and it isn't. I mean, I understand that most of the time it's not but I think they need a little bit of time, to themselves. And it's only 5 minute period. And it's, I can give them 5 minutes, I guess. So I think it can't always be, you got to have high demands, but you got to also have some downtime in there. Sometimes to really focus and concentrate, sometimes to be a team and build friendships and that kind of stuff. Then back to work, and then just have a good ratio that way.
And I kind of compare that with like Coach Smith, Coach Doherty. I love being around those guys. It's like it's infectious, and I'm going to guess that your staff, kind of feels that same way. It's that elite mindset.
Oh yeah, no, it's it was weird. Not, this is I've told people this all along. And obviously, you talk about culture, and I don't know if we can get to that or not, but culture is, I heard that one time say it was the most overused, underdefined word in the English language, which I would completely agree. I don't even know how I define it. Probably, maybe you have a good definition of it, Chuck. I don't, but I do know that when I'm around it, I feel it. I don't know if I necessarily see it, but I feel it, and I know it. I felt that when I would go up to Coach Thomas's stuff at AP at Appleton Parkersburg. I'd take my teams up there, and I really took them because I knew that there was just something special about the culture of that place and what he'd established, and that's really what it is. I think that this team was, obviously strive every year to have guys that, like being around each other. But this team truly, I mean, I could have kept practicing all year. We practiced as long as you could practice, obviously, and right down to that championship week. And I could have just started back up the following Monday with those coaches and kids. It was just, other than, having to deal with some hurtful injury type things, we just really had no problems, and the coaches and the kids got along great, and it's just there's a reason why they won championship.
4 years ago, I remember, we had talked after the freshman game, and I told you, I said, I said, I think that's your best team that I've ever seen. But of course, I was, I didn't get to see your 1992 ball club.
Yeah, no, it was no, we've had some really, really special
You
players.
have.
There's no doubt. And there's the yeah, I mean, I told these guys beforehand, a lot of times I'll be at weddings or and all of a sudden it'll come up probably late at night and too far into the dance for people making great decisions. And all of a sudden this player will be saying, 2005 versus 2011, who wins, or this position or that position. And I try hard not to get into that middle of that discussion much. But, to me, I think the 2002 team had always been the team. I mean, still the team I show is we're driving to the Dome every year, their highlight film, because and I think maybe it's more just me because it's the first time I'd, maybe really been around a group that cared. I mean, they were successful because they had this care. I mean, that was a group that won state track, made it to state in basketball. I got third in the state in baseball. They were just an amazing group of guys, but they really just held each other accountable more than any group. They made a pact. They're always going to all stick together, and they did it, and that doesn't happen these days. So, but we had to tell this group, like, whoever wins the first one, whoever gets the job done, they get to crown themselves champions. So.
Now, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, or Emmitt Smith?
Oh boy, I just watched the Barry thing on a Netflix on my downtime. Obviously, I'm looking for a Netflix or some sort of thing to keep me busy here, which was awesome. I kind of forgot. You kind of forget. I think I have probably a little bit of a pride for those guys, or pride pull for him and Walter a little bit, just because they battled on teams that weren't good, and I think they had to find ways to be something bigger than that, which I think's awesome. But I've done a lot on them, so I don't know. I think just I'd probably go with Walter Payton if I had to choose. I think.
And then as a Rams fan, you're probably thinking, dude, it's Eric Dickerson.
Yeah, we had, there was a lot of down years there as a Rams fan. I think the first year I watched football must have been when they played the Steelers in the Super Bowl and Vince Ferragamo, and I just made a mistake. I think I liked their helmets. I don't know, but anyway, I made a mistake of thinking they were good. But boy, there's a lot of down years in between there. And then, but we did have the Eric Dickerson years to keep us going.
Oh, he was tough. I think I still remember. I don't know whether you remember Jim Rome. When he called, I think it was Jim Everett, Chris Everett, and he threw over the table. You remember that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then he was, Jim wasn't real impressed, but I don't think.
Yeah, he said one more time.
Yeah,
and he says, Chris.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that too. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I do want you to talk about some of your players. Obviously, watching those guys compete. Obviously you got a fellow that's going to Iowa. I look at number 0, number 6, number 12, but you had many other numbers. Let's talk about some of your players and give them some love.
Oh, you bet. This is a pretty easy group to talk about. And I'll start with number 12, Derek Weiskopf. It's he's used to taking the beating that I'll be the first one talking to. They've called him D1 Derek for a lot of times. That's kind of the team chant. But he's handled well. But he's Derek's a kid that moved to Williamsburg, open enrolled here in 9th grade. I remember when he came, I'd always try to tell kids, just stay where you're at and be with the people that raised you and that kind of thing. And he chose to come here instead. And man, goodness, he told me at the time that he was going to be the best kid we ever had move here. And it'd be hard to argue with that. I think it's not only just his talent. I tell Iowa guys, all the Hawkeyes all the time that it isn't the talent that's really something. I don't think you see it as much as a coach, but opposing coach. But I'm telling you what, this guy is a great team dude. I mean, and he's so competitive. He could care less about. I mean, for a guy that is a Division I scholarship guy, committed as a sophomore, does all this stuff, he loves to win and he loves his teammates, and he could care less about individual honors. And there's been a really good example of that for us. He's not a guy. We got the ball a lot. Obviously, we ended up keeping him at quarterback just because he brought that to us, and we just decided we're going to get that ball in his hand as much as we could and have a second runner back there and let him use his toughness and competitiveness. But just extremely competitive. And the bigger he is not scared of competition. Oh, he loves it and thrives on it. So, that's
I
probably his.
do I do wanna add, and he's a 3-sport athlete, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So Derek is, he was a basketball guy when he's younger. He still is, obviously, and he's stuck with it. But he's a Martin Brothers. I remember watching. I'd heard that when they came here, they said he had these dunks. I'm like, you're in eighth grade, I don't ever. So I go watch him play, and he has like three in one game. I go, okay, yeah. And then I'm not talking about just like barely getting it over the rim. This guy's, I mean, he's putting it through there now. And so anyway, and so he's that, and then he's a basketball guy. Then obviously his track thing, you go to state track meet last year, you won the high jump and place in the top four, whatever he did in the shot put and discus. There's not many high jumpers winning the shot or placing in the shot put.
No, and, is he gonna go play defense or is he gonna play offense?
Yeah, so he's a linebacker recruit, an inside linebacker recruit, and you guys probably saw it too. But when he
Oh,
hits
yeah.
people, it sounds a little different, and I'm sure it feels a little bit different. So yeah, he's an inside linebacker recruit. What we found with him is really wherever we were needing some help, we'd put him there and it fixed the problem. So that's all we knew. So I don't know where he'll be eventually as it comes out, but I do think he'll rise up and find a way to contribute to the team somewhere.
Now, watching him on the field, he made some pretty crazy, plays. I watched a lot of film, obviously, because I had to break it down, but, you even in the playoffs, man, when crunch time hit, d was he kinda like Joe Cool?
Yeah, no, he is. He definitely is. He doesn't show any nervousness at all, and he's just kind of whatever. But he was nice. He was kind of a security blanket to have out wide because for most corners, it's just not a good matchup. He's not going to run by you. We had some other guys that could do that, obviously, but you aren't going to. He just our quarterbacks the last couple of years, and he's played in the dome 2 years in a row, sophomore, junior, senior year, and sophomores and juniors. I think part of the reason we made it was our quarterbacks by the end of the year realized I'm just going to throw it up out there, and it's not really a lot of coaching involved in that situation. So, but yeah, no, he's a mismatch problem, and then he's one of the guys that like I said, we need another just physical running threat. Our tailback now Sin did a great job. If you could get him some space, he could move around a little bit, but he wasn't going to be he's a 152-pound wrestler or whatever, but he's not going to somebody's going to run you over. So Derek could give us a little bit more of a kind of a physical, it's almost like a fullback type running ability back there.
I had no idea why they would kick the ball to number 6 either.
Yeah, I don't know either. I told our special teams guy if we're playing against him, that punt better land on the track. Because, yeah, we figured up. Obviously, we've been trying to find him a home, and he is a junior, so thank goodness we have one back. But we got figuring up, and this is probably something you don't want to do a lot as a coach. Makes you question your own play calling ability a little bit. But almost half the time he's touched the ball, he's scored, which is crazy, whether that's on interceptions, punt returns, kick returns, receptions, carries. Until we started putting him in the Wildcat, his average is about 50% of touches a touchdown. So he's a special dude. And boy, in the semifinal game against Solon, he kind of went unconscious for about 5 or 6 plays in a row there. He just took over.
I coached against Tyler Sash. He's a household name up in that, area, from Oskaloosa, and I would compare his speediness and his breakaway speed to a Tyler Sash type player.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyler, we actually, believe it or not, our Tyler's senior year, they lost in the first round of the playoffs. The only reason I know that is because it's to us. So we beat them in overtime his senior year. We went down to Oskaloosa and beat them in overtime. And I would say same thing. We had a great plan when Tyler Sash was at receiver. Oh, we probably should have intercepted an early pass to him. Probably too good a plan because what they did then was put him at tailback. And the first time he touched it, we didn't get within arm's reach, I don't think. So we were better off we should have let him have a little more success at receiver probably. But no, he's just definitely physically a little bit more developed at this stage than what Race Heitman number 6 is. Just I remember Tyler Sash walking around before the game in school in his T-shirt, and I thought
He was
they
thick.
all they all look like that. We're in trouble. So
Uh,
yeah.
kind of reminded me of a PCM team a couple years back. Remember how thick
Oh,
those guys were?
oh yeah, I lost to them too. Yeah, yeah, you bet.
Doggone. What about Zero? And what is I mean, he obviously wore Zero with pride because he was a beast.
Yeah, if there's somebody to pick it, it'd be him. His brother Caden is the number 21 for the Hawks. He's their kick returner. Does punt returns now, and has probably been maybe one of the fastest guys on the team since he walked in to the university. He went to Iowa Western first, was an All American punt returner, and Braylon. He's they both are. They're both pretty loose. They like to have a good time. They're not going to be over serious about something. They're not going to get worked up about how nervous they are. But Braylon will take it even a little step farther. Probably he's a little bit more. Man, did he? I think that. I mean, I saw tons of growth in him as a. I thought the big thing was his soul, and we knew we were going to have to try to get behind him with some double move stuff and that kind of thing, just because that's what they played us the first time outside. And anyway, we just couldn't connect on any of those. So we figured they'd stay with it. And so we knew he was going to have a big game, as he was kind of our guy for that, and he dropped the ball early in that game right on our sideline. It couldn't have been thrown any better, and he couldn't have been more open, and he dropped it. And usually when that would happen, he was done for the game. I mean, it would have been a matter if it's practice of the game. He just mentally couldn't get through it. So to see him come back, the next one I probably asked for it. I told him he's going to step up and make a play, and if he did, I didn't care what he did with the football. Well, he proceeded to do the flip into the end zone, throw the ball
Oh,
as high as he can, which is something I normally wouldn't. I don't know if it's a non-negotiable, but it's not something how we like to play. And but at the same time, what I felt like, yeah, I'll take it. He'll if it's got him back going, we'll take it for this game. And he's the opposite of me. So I end up like coaching guys like that. They're just I wish I could be as outgoing and crazy and not think about things as much as he does sometimes. And those are the guys, truthfully, I end up bonding with and care about and love, just because I've had to spend a little extra time with him. So
absolutely. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and ask the question that not only myself and Coach Doherty and a few other coaches have. Would you agree or disagree that your quarterfinal game against Mount Vernon should have been at least the semifinal game, if not the final game?
I mean, Solon had a good argument because they beat both of us, so it's hard to they beat Mount Vernon and they beat us. So I don't think any of us. I don't know how Coach Peterson feels about it. I've never asked him that. But I think we both understood why we were playing each other. Or I definitely did. Did I want to play him? No. At that stage, and I didn't know it'd be, end up being that. They might, truthfully, and in hindsight, I'm not afraid to say they probably were the best team we played through the whole playoffs. They were tremendous that night at our place. If it's not for an interception right before half, and then us hitting a big play right at the last play we're getting ready to go down 2 scores at halftime. Had a kid get injured on the goal line, had a little breaking play. Next play, Heitman, number 6, intercepts it. Then we ran a quarterback read play, which we never hardly run. And Weiskopf hit a big play, and we brought in a tall kid just to give it a shot the last play of the game, and he went up over 2 dudes and caught it. And so instead of going down 2 scores at halftime, it was, obviously we're right there. So that was a big, big game. But they were 38-35, I think, was the final, and they were it'd be easy to say that. I'm sure Solon wouldn't agree, just because that's a huge rivalry between those two. So, and both teams were really good. And but Solon early in the year beat both of us, so we had to play when we had to play.
Last year at this time, I mean, obviously we were all scratching our heads, wondering, who's going to be 3A, who's going to be 4A, who's going to be 2A. When you found out the news that you were going to bump to 3A, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts have always been the same with that. First of all, I don't. I have a whole staff of coaches that sit around and try to figure that out, and they same way with the playoff thing. They're like they think they have it all figured out who's going to play, and I don't. They're like, what do you think? I haven't even thought about it. I mean, I'm going to worry about whoever it is, and I don't want to be making those decisions. I'm thankful someone else is. I think the state does a great job with it. So I was not shocked. I mean, I knew that the free and reduced situation was going to be what it was, and I wasn't worried about it. I think that we have in my 23 years now, we're not quite half and half 3A 2A, but we had a 10-year stint there at 3A before, and I think at that time it was even harder because it went from basically 600 to 300. Now it's a little more manageable, and I've always thought the same thing. I think that the best teams in 2A are very similar to the best teams in 3A. I think that, I sat there and watched that championship game right before us with Central Line, obviously, who, we lost to the year before, and Van Meter, who we'd played the year before, and thought, both those teams are pretty darn good football teams, and probably, so, not saying they're better than Mount Vernon or Solon by any means, but they were, it didn't matter. So I wasn't surprised, and it was, again, just control things you can control, and it's definitely not who you're going to play or where this or what class you're in. Those things are just they are what they are.
Controlling the controllables now. When you were watching I don't know whether you got to see the waning moments of that game, how it ended. The snap over the head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
I did have coaches watch on their phone. I was trying to stay focused and kind of sitting over trying to think of what I need to be prepared for. And I was kind of, and even some of our kids were watching it on their phones. So in the back up in the locker room, which I'm not sure that's really the focus we want either, but it was, then I watched the coaches showed me the replay. And so when I got down there, the Central Line coach who I got to know a little bit last year, and I really, really respect. Obviously it's just a terrible way to lose a game. And, we were on the same sideline as they were. So as they came off the field or whatever, I still, I just amazed by his, just his positive outlook on it. He just lost a game about as tough as ways you could lose it. And his response was, oh, heck, we've had 2 great years here. I'll take it any day. And you just go win your title now. And it was, so I'm very, that was a good thing for me to hear right before we started our game.
Oh, 100%. Now, take us through. Is Curt Ritchie? I mean, are you a little superstitious? Do you have to do the same things on game days?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like everything else in my life. I've decided people always, I'm kind of a little worried about no more that I'm not as excited about winning the titles I thought I might be, or kind of worries me that I'm not more excited, but I'm just not that. Losing is always, not wanting to lose has always driven me more than winning. I just do not handle that first loss against Solon, our only loss against Solon this year, even though I think in hindsight it was really good for us. It drove. I mean, all of a sudden I'm back to not sleeping at night. I'm waking up all night thinking of things, writing them down, watching film, and Mrs. Ritchie's thinking this is ridiculous. And anyway, those things drive me crazy. But I am, this only night I wore this vest and some gray pants in a game, and I never wore it after that game. So, so I guess there are some things I'm a little superstitious about, but yeah, not really.
You don't have to. You don't have to eat like a certain cheeseburger or have a certain Diet Coke or anything.
Well, food, I'm pretty flexible, obviously, and I'm pretty predictable. So, for me, it's been that's been different things. So we have a Dairy Queen here in Williamsburg called the Raider, and it's kind of a historic place, been going on for a long time. Anyway, they have this loose meat sandwich. So Friday's lunch for me is always, they know they're going to see me for a loose meat sandwich, and they always take good care of me there. So problem is that the last couple of years we've played long enough that they're closed before the season ends. So we have to come up with a different plan for lunch on game days.
Is it like Maidrites?
Yeah.
Explain to a Maidrite connoisseur how greasy this baby is. What do you got on this baby? Come on.
Oh, they did put everything on there for me except lettuce. I don't need that green stuff, but well, I probably need it, but I don't need it. It is not that greasy. No, it's not. I mean, it's not like the bun is. I've been to. What's the place called Natumwa? Have you ever been to this?
Ah,
It's called the. Gosh, can drive me nuts. I can't think of it now. There's a place downtown in Toma. My father-in-law took me. Um, Best.
is that the old Hotel Fort?
No, it's down under kind of under. It's kind of under like a parking garage thing. It's a little dinky building. You can only choices there are chips, pie, and Maiderites. I mean, that's the only thing you can get. Gosh, can drive me nuts. I wish somebody could chime in and tell us. I think presidents and everything have been there. It's an amazing place. But anyway, that's the best. But there's, they ask you there if you want it like, I think they call it wet or dry. And I remember what is that? It's like, it really just depends on if you want the bottom, the one where the bun doesn't even stay together anymore from the grease, or if you want
Forks.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What about tenderloins? I mean, do you like tenderloins? A big breaded tenderloin? I mean, what do you got
Oh
up
yeah.
around there?
Oh yeah, no, we like tenderloins. There's a few Millersburg where I grew up. There's a place called Hometown Cafe that still makes a really good tenderloin, and yeah, no. So tenderloins, you gotta be careful. They definitely can vary quite a bit from place to place.
I really dislike it when when they cook the tenderloin after they've cooked fish.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a guy that doesn't like those real big ones that are so thin that they're like crispy. I like a little bit thicker, moister tenderloin. But yeah, no, it's all good. Like I said, if it comes to food, I'm not very picky. So
What are you doing in the off season as far as preparing for like another run?
yeah, so we this is a little bit different area for me just because last year at this time I don't know if I was in a depression, but I felt like I had I felt like I had I thought that was always the group that they're a special group. I really love those guys. We weren't real healthy at the end when it mattered, and then to lose 10-6 and have you can find 5 zillion ways you could have won maybe. That was I was not in a good place for a long time. Took me a long time to get back to work last year. So thank goodness it didn't hamper us once the season got going. But we I don't work at the school now. I'd went to halftime. We run a hunting lodge. I don't know if you knew that, Chuck, but we own a hunting lodge called Legacy Acres Hunting Club. Hunt pheasant and upland birds, and so I spend most of my days out there, and then I get to spend a lot of time. So no, I'm obviously going to present a few clinics this year, so I'm working at that just because I want to make it worth everybody's time and try to put together something good for them. I don't know if there's anything that special that we do that people want to hear about, but so I'm working on that a little bit, and then I'm trying to there's just a few things that I've always wanted to maybe do before I'm done as far as um, you know yeah, I'd like to I've always thought like we talked a little bit about a clinic. I'd like to do a sort of coaching clinic here. I think we have between the hunting lodge and our facilities here in the rec center at Williamsburg. I think we've put together a great clinic. I think that doing some sort of I don't know if there's a lot of camps these days that just you guys know if you probably have the same thing down there, but parents always ask me where should we send our kids to camp, and there's not really a good in my mind there's not a lot of camps out there that are teaching camps, or they are actually trying to teach you in fundamentals and grow as a player, and players can bring you in and test you and recruit you if they want, move you on. There are recruiting camps and not really teaching camps. So those are all things I'm kind of just piecing together in my mind right now and trying to put a plan together and just trying to think that one thing about being in a smaller school, I think that at English Valleys, I'm very thankful for those times because I never knew what I was going to have from year to year as far as talent. One year we had 2,000-yard rushers and almost a third. One year we threw it, I don't even know how many times, 60 times in a game once. So you just had to use your guys. So I've always been thankful for that. So just trying to find ways that to keep our scheme the same, but yet utilize the talents that we do have and utilize our talents the best we can. So that's kind of where my thoughts are right now as I kind of move along here.
100%. Now, you're gonna have to like send me your information so we can put you on Dog Pound for the
Yeah.
hunting stuff. You
Yeah,
know.
maybe we should sponsor. We don't have a lot of people from down that way. We have a few. We have some Atomo people, but yeah, no, we have some. We have membership members in Iowa, and then we have a lot of out of state people. We've just been fortunate to get to know and see, and some. Yeah, obviously we have some with Austin's connections. We do an amazing, really neat of Warrior Rising hunt in March, and that's when we bring in some NFL guys. So that's always fun, and so it's just been just another great way just to meet people. It's always about people.
100%, man. 100%. Now, you better give a shout out to your wife.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Miss Ritchie, Kim Ritchie, I always, my people always give me a hard time to just say Mrs. Ritchie, but yeah, Kim is, yeah, she loves, I have to have her on the sidelines. She starts, if I found out early in my career is if I left her up in the stand, she was trying to fight all the parents that say anything bad. And now my daughters are the same way. So I just keep her down the sideline where I can at least tell her to quit yelling at the officials. But no, she's just like all the rest of us. She's raised four amazing kids and continues to just now move on to the grandparenting world and she's a everybody in town would tell you she's she's the one of dad. So just very fortunate, and we've been married for 89. So yeah, so it's been yeah, she's done awesome. So she actually retired last year. She's was guidance counselor, then went back to elementary teaching and did not teach last year. Jumped back in this year because we just unfortunately had a teacher she respected greatly pass away in late July and way too early, and so she jumped back in there. And now it's about Christmas, and I think she's thinking maybe it wasn't as great idea as she thought it was at the time. So next year we'll both be somewhat retired and hopefully can go do some things.
Absolutely, because you got to enjoy those grandkids.
Oh
Special
yeah,
shout out to.
well, yeah. Everybody's wondering, you gonna go away for the winter? You gonna do this stuff or whatever? And we've been, blessed enough to be able to go see some really neat places and do some really neat things. But I'm smart enough to know that I'm not getting away from those grandkids for very long.
No, and we shouldn't. You know what? We shouldn't. But hey, man, I want to appreciate you coming on. I'll definitely have you on again in the future.
Yeah.
You'll always be a part of the Dog Pound Brotherhood, buddy.
All right. I appreciate you guys do a heck of a job down there. I've said that. I don't know. You guys have what Darren's done, what you guys have done down there is really neat to see how it's grown. We obviously played them back before he was there, and as a coach and playing you now and seeing the growth. I'm not sure you guys, sometimes when you're part of it, you don't see it as much as from the outside looking in sometimes, but you guys have really established some good stuff there, and I should be really proud.
Tell you what, it's exciting to be a part of his staff, man. He's pretty addictive. Stay on the line here real quick,
Yeah, you bet.
Coach, and we'll chat just real quick. Hey, I want to let everybody know that we will be live Tuesday night. It's going to be a boy-girl basketball game against the Washington Demons, so stay tuned.